and said, hey, Pepe Serna is going to join the interview. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. So we were able to chat yesterday. This is really exciting because you two have been longtime friends. Pepe, you and I were talking about this. You mentioned you've been friends for over 40 years. Can you tell me how you two met?
We were doing a TV show, and just to cut to the chase, we met very fast. He told me that he was playing at Gazzari's. Jim Morrison would come in when Jim Morrison was at the Whiskey, and he just told me all these fantastic things about himself. And I was like, yeah, no, it was. I mean, that didn't happen back then. This is 1977, and you work with people, but you don't meet somebody right away that you're gonna find as a compadre. This is gonna be a lifelong friend because we had something going on, right? And then within a few more things that we did back to back, then he became, that I was with him when he did Zoot Suit, and he became a Pachuca. The greatest Chicano American hero since and since. I mean, it was amazing. So that's how we met, and I'm no dummy, so we stayed good friends.
It is really great. And did you want to add something to that?
No. I just want to say thank you to Pepe for being who he is.
Oh.
It's strictly a real. You will understand this. When people give more than they receive, we actually think of them as saints. You know, because they're just like, they don't ask for anything in return, they're just helping. Well, in our business, you don't have saints. You got nothing but ego, you know. And everything is me, my I, you know. And Pepe kind of single-handedly has been able to traverse our industry that is really commonly known as the place where everybody's in it for themselves. And if there's a part, you kind of like just go for it. You don't say anything to anybody if you're going for it. Pepe would call you up. People, not only me, but other actors also, and say, hey man, they're casting this role. I just went up for it. You got to try out for it. It's really good. And, you know, because what he was trying to do, he was trying to see if he could get it over everybody. So he'd tell everybody, and he would. He would get it over everybody. And but basically, he really helped everyone, and he helped me out immensely, especially when I was starting. And yeah, I was very strong and committed at that time when we met. He hadn't run across anyone like me because at that moment in time there was no one like me. No one had done the kind of work that he had done in improvisational theater for years and years and years, 7 days a week. I had been working as a rock and roll singer 7 days a week since 1960. And I started working, you know, when Bob Dylan barely started, when the Beatles hadn't even come out yet. And, you know, when the Stones and all these people, you know, Jim Morrison, he'd come into my where I was singing and dancing, and I'd say, oh, that's cool, man. You know, the guys are coming in, and, you know, they're kind of like palling around with us, you know. And then I'd go watch him perform, and he was taking some of the moves that I did. That's what I do, you know, and truth. And I told him that. And of course, you know, I was very proud to meet him and know him because he was at that moment in time way ahead of me in many, many ways. But especially when it came to understanding theater, art, and film. So I'm very grateful to now 40-some years later, 45 years, 46 years later, here we are sitting on the stage. And we've both been through cancer. We both have had cancer. He had his about 15 years ago. I had mine last week. I just finished it, you know, and I'm cancer-free, thank God. I just happen to both survivors, so there you go.
It's a testament to friendship, and it was just so great to hear this anecdote and all the stories that you're telling, but also knowing that this movie was made when you two were already friends. So you're a producer of The Ballad of Gregorio Cortez, and I have a couple of questions, but first, because you also are in the film, Pepe, Did you reach out to Pepe at that point to say, hey, I'm doing this project, I want you to be a part of it?
Kind of. I mean, he knows everything I'm doing. So we had, when I started preparing to do the picture, when I got the responsibility of Dr. Armenico's Paredes' book called With a Pistol.
When he got it, he said, we're going to be doing. There was never.
You want to help me or you want to? No, hey, we're going to be doing this.
And so tell me how you found out about the story, how you found out about the book.
I was helping at the time. I was up in 1978, I think it was, right after we had kicked in really hard in the theater world, and especially in the art world of entertainment. I hit really hard with El Pachuco and Zoot, and it was the summer of that event. Started in February. In February, we did it for 10 days in the Theater for Now presentation at the Mark Taper, and it just flared. I mean, just took off. I don't know, did anyone see the play? Yeah. The play, okay.
Wow.
Those of you that saw the play are very fortunate, because that was really a tremendous motion and understanding during that period of time, and it changed the course of our lives, and of Latinos and Chicanos in particular in American theater, because to this day there's been nothing like it. And even with the great advent of Lin-Manuel Miranda, and in the Heights and Hamilton, he's very successful as a Puerto Rican songwriter and performer, but nothing was prepared anything to do like what Zoot did. Zoot was monumental in scope, completely off the wall and different. And so I was coming off of that, and I went to work with Bob Redford. Called me up and asked me if I'd come up to Sundance to start the Sundance Institute. And there was about a few of us that went up there and helped them to create Sundance Institute. So we were in the original journey and trying to formulate what Sundance Institute would be. And this back in 78, 79. And with that, and when I was there, Moctezuma Esparza, who I knew, who was a producer, had the rights to 2 books. One of them was With a Pistol in His Hand. The other one was Milagro Being Killed More by John Nichols. And he came to me and he asked me if I would do both of them. And I said, well, I didn't know either one. I hadn't read either one of the 2 books. And I said, well, I'd love to read them, and I'd love to help, whatever I can do. And so he says, well, before we do John Nichols' Milagro Before War, which I take that back, I had read Milagro, because it was a really wonderful comedic piece of work, and the character was a Chicano. And so it was one of the few books that was written by John Nichols, and John is about as white as you can get. But it was brilliantly, aesthetically, and really culturally perfect. And I don't know how many of you read the book, but it was really delightful reading. So I said, great, I'd love to do Milagro. He goes, well, before we do Milagro, you got to do With a Pistol in His Hand. That I had not read. And so he said, you got to do that one first. So, okay, but I want to produce it, and I want to pick my director, and I want to guide the ship. And at that moment in time, I could ask for that. And I was at Pachuco, so by that time I could ask for anything. It was really fun. And I ended up getting the project then, and as soon as I came off of the time we spent up there at Park City, Utah, up in the mountains with Bob, and I came back down, and I told Pepe, I said, well, this is what we're going to do next, and we're going to get Robert M. Young to direct us. And what you're about to experience, okay, let me just ask you this. How many have never seen The Ballad of Gregorio Cortez?
Oh, wow.
Boy.
Yeah.
Boy,
You are about to experience something that you tell me.
It's amazing, even if you have seen it. Now this is digitized. The Academy, they don't do it for very many films, and they digitize this. It's state of the art, but it's, for me, I mean, he was up for an Oscar, not for this. He should have been up for an Oscar. He should have gotten an Oscar, and I think soon that we would have to see people like you have to put the thought out there that he should get an honorary Oscar for the best Western ever made. And you'll see why today. I mean, watching his every move, we were two brothers, and Gregorio Cortez saved the Texas Rangers. Because this happened, the Texas Rangers were after him for 10 days on horseback. And you're gonna see some of the best horseback riding you've ever seen in any film. Any rodeo, anywhere, because it's not a movie. The cameras are there, but look at it, real close, look at him, and you're gonna see, and you're gonna hear, and you're gonna feel the Texas Rangers all around him. They're gonna be inches away from you, because you're gonna be right inside him, and you're gonna just feel it. And it's just, I just saw it again recently, and every time you see it, it's just like, wow, man, this is amazing, and it's beyond that. Yeah, it's the best acting ever. This is just the biggest part, the best favorite part. And why could he ride a horse like that? Because el vato is the East LA, and let me tell you one something. He didn't have a lowrider, he had a horse.
I'm so glad you brought up the horse riding, because I hadn't seen it until a few weeks ago, but that was something that struck me, is how naturally you were riding this horse. And I kept looking at him thinking, no, this is 1982. There's no way that he's like superimposed. This was you on that horse. What kind of training did you have to go through, or did you already know how to ride a horse?
Like Pepe was saying, I was raised around horses. My mother was a sheriff in the mounted police, as was my grandfather. And they were cops, and so proud of them. And so we had horses since I was born. And we had to shovel horse manure all the time. So we rode all the time. So yeah, I'd been riding my whole life, but no one knew this. And, you know, he didn't know. I mean, before we did the movie, he didn't know how I rode. And the director, you know, he says, hey, "Can you ride?" I said, "Yeah, I can ride." And said, "Okay, what you're about to experience," and this is what really makes this movie something organically unprecedented, is, first of all, it was shot within 24 days. We used 150 horses, period car, period train, 5,000 wardrobe changes. We went to 3 states of the Union: New Mexico, Colorado, and Texas. And we shot most of it in one take. So because the horse sequences, as you'll see, it's impossible. Could we do another take, please? Yeah, let's say take 2. Climb over the hill again, let's go. You know, no, we didn't have the time to do that. We had to capture what we could capture in documented format. And the director, Robert M. Young, who is our closest friend, and right now he's on his deathbed. He's 98 years old and still going strong, but you know, he's going to be 99 in November. So, but him and I and Pepe have worked together a lot. And so, but he directed it. He's the man who really was one of the true, he formulated documentary journalism. He was the first man who did the first documentaries for NBC white papers on television in the late 40s, early 50s. He was the first man underwater with a camera and documented sharks and the great whites. He was the first guy before Jacques Cousteau. And, you know, him and Jacques were friends. Jacques gave him the aqualung. He gave Jacques Cousteau the casing to put his cameras into, because his father had created the casings for the cameras. And so he went under, and so what he does is document human behavior. And so what we do, what you're about to see, has been hailed by the United States Historical Society, okay, as the most authentic Western ever made in the history of film, ever.
It's such a shame that it doesn't get more popularized, and that more people don't see it. People don't even know the story. I didn't know the story. I'm raised in Texas. It's not taught in Texas history. As many of you know, if you went to school here in El Paso and in Texas, you have a year of Texas history in middle school. And I never knew this story, and which is why I know that for both of you, this is a really important story to tell. It's a true story.
It's a true one, and it's one that, it, like Pepe said, during the time of 1901, the Texas Rangers were just being disbanded. And they were being disbanded because of the way that they treated people, for sure. You know, they were not hospitable kind of lawmen. They were pretty renegadish, but they were strong, and you know, Texas Rangers were proud people. But by the time 1901 came around, it's like, you know, anything else. It's like what we're going through with the police department as we speak in this country. There's a lot of really great, beautiful people that are great. They really are there to serve the people, and then there are some that just destroy for everybody. And the Texas Rangers towards the end were really becoming kind of hard on Mexicans, and they always were. But this chase sequence, when they got this opportunity to try to find this killer of sheriffs, they ended up chasing him with almost 600 men. They chased him across from Gonzales, Texas, all the way down to the border, and they used the train. It was the first time they had ever used the train to do those kind of chasing, and it was the first time they used telephones. And it's amazing what it discovered. And cars, they had cars, you know, and you know, it just 1901 was a very provocative era and a very strong one. So the Texas Rangers extended their lives to today. There still is Texas Rangers today, and we're proud of them, and I think we all are. But I can tell you, this really helped them survive the criticisms that they were having at that period of time. So, you know, that's...
And you'll see, you know, most Westerns have the saloons, the dancing girls, the poker playing, and the town with all the stuff, the barber, well, everything is going on. Imagine all of that and this character that's running across the country with the Texas Rangers after him. But this is a story that he is so in depth as a human being, not even as a method actor trained for years. He just lived it and was reliving it. And like he says, Bob Young just films reality and so that's why he went in. I know that's why it was his favorite part. He went into the deepest reality that he'd ever had, because he was channeling his ancestors. I know, we all do. I mean, we're all a product of everybody that has ever brought us here. And that's what you see, that's what I see when I'm watching him, you know, and especially playing his brother and knowing the connection we already had, but seeing that. So imagine, I don't throw more things in, but you'll see the dancing girls, the salon, with him riding on a horse, you know, like, and then especially when the Texas Rangers are really close by, just look at him, and his breathing and his reality. It's going to take you right there. It's really beautiful, because it's not acting. It's not acting. It's a whole other thing. It's a whole.
It's so true. The two of you together on the screen, even though a lot of it is mostly you or the Rangers, but the scenes that you two have together, you feel like you two are brothers, and it's beautiful. And just to go back to what you were saying, it's not acting at this point. You two had been friends for a while, and you can feel that on the screen.
Yeah, we have been quite a while by that time. But my son's here. He was in the movie too. Bodie, where are you, Bodie?
There he is, Bodie.
There he is.
It really is a family affair. You have both your sons in this movie.
Yeah, both of my sons are in the movie, and he plays. You'll see him. He's the littlest guy in the movie. The littlest guy in the movie. In the train, you see him in the back of the train. He's all dressed up. And
About 5 years old.
Yeah, he might have been that old. I think it was 80. Yeah, he was.
5.
Yeah, he was 5. Because it was 80, 81 that we were shooting that movie. And he was born in 75, so he was 6 years old.
Yeah.
And then my son, his older brother, who's 3 years old, and he has plays my son in the movie. And you'll see him, and boy,
Well, what a performance.
oh my God. It really pushes you way over the top. I mean, you gotta remember that he had never made a movie. Hey, come on, you gotta help me. We need a family, we need kids. So, everybody has a kid, bring your kid over here. And you know, so it was that way. And when I went to talk to his brother, Miko, I said, hey, listen, I need you to be in this movie with me. And he goes, oh man, I go, come on, you can help me, man. It's really gonna be nice. We'll have a good time. Okay, whatever you need. All right, and then when you see what he did, then you're gonna say, whoa. And remember, the majority, I would say more than 80 to 85% of this film is shot in one take. So we shoot the scene the way, and Bob is a documentist, so he doesn't tell, you know, hey, fish, can you swim by here again? And you know, so he's got to catch animals, and he Maasai warriors. He's the last. He did the last migration of the Eskimo in the late 40s, early 50s. He did the first 4 NBC white papers on NBC for their documentaries on television. That's in the early 50s, going into the 60s, and so he's constantly the way he worked. John Cassavetes loved his style and took from his style. A lot of people take from his style. And he did one movie called Nothing But a Man, which is with Ivan Dixon and Abby Lincoln about the African-American experience in 1964, which is Malcolm X's and you know, what's his name, the great filmmaker, the African-American filmmaker.
Ivan Dixon,
No, the filmmaker, Spike Lee. And Spike's loves it. This is like their favorite film. And it was done by, you know, Anglo-Saxon, Caucasian white guy, and out of Brooklyn, you know. But it was just, he's amazing humanist. And he's done some beautiful, he did Nothing But a Man, he did, you know, what do you call it, God, Triumph of the Spirit, which was an amazing piece of work. And he's done movies that you will probably see, maybe as time goes on, you'll catch it here and there. They didn't have great, you know, great success, but there happen to be the films that you'll be seeing. Your children's children will be seeing them 100 years from today, because they're the best films that have been made in this century. And he's one of the greatest filmmakers that's ever lived. And that's not me saying it, that's the industry saying it. And so, anyway, so when you see it, and to me, Ray Villalobos, which is another man who is a great cinematographer, he did Rescue Business, and all kinds of, you know, 9 to 5, and great films that he's done as a cinematographer. He came with us.
Urban Cowboy.
Urban Cowboy, yeah. Pardon? Yeah, I couldn't hear him. All I can tell you is that this kid, Ray Villalobos and Bobby Young together have created something that will last the test of time. Like I said, what you're about to experience, and I'm so proud of the fact that you guys came to see this.
And one of the things, see, this is the interesting thing here, is that why you're here and why we're here, and what we've done, and what our mission statement is in life, is that you see a guy up here that is the biggest Chicano star ever. and me, not very many people know my name. I've done 100 feature films, but I have my book for sale today across the street at the hotel. The story that he's a big part of, because our travels in Europe and working, it's an incredible story because we've lived it. But and then my documentary will be probably on Amazon, and hopefully in October, and then from then on, because I am doing the self-distribution of the film and self-publishing of the book. So Hollywood, I am Hollywood. You are Hollywood. But the roundabout way of getting is that what we've done, our brotherhood, is what we want you to understand as business people out there, of how to not be in competition with each other. We're not in competition with anybody. We're only in competition with ourselves. We have to help our buddy. If you're a plumber and then you don't have time to do the plumbing over here, turn them on to another plumber that you know. Electrician, turn them on to a different one. There's plenty of work, but you got to be good. The young kids today don't know what work is. They don't know that it takes time. I'm 79 years old. It's taken me 75 years to get this book out. I was an entertainer since I was 3. 75 years to get it, and my documentary has taken 10 years. But this is what I'm driving at, is that here, just because he's way up here and you think I'm not? You think I'm not where he is? I may not be in your eyes, but together, we don't care what you think.
Let's end it there. I can't wait for you to feel all the emotions off the audience as they watch this film on this massive screen and they see your relationship, they see you with your son in those moments where I was watching it and thought, that has to be his son, because it was so powerful to see you two together. It brought me to tears. I can't wait for all of you to experience it. Pepe, Serna, Edward James Olmos, my honor, my pleasure to be up here with you and be able to hear these stories from you firsthand. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
And come across the street because